What you're about to watch is not just another routine courtroom case. It's one of those situations where the law, personal struggle, and harsh reality all collide in a way that leaves even the judge unsure of what to do next. At the center of this case is Jody Lynette Wood, a woman facing a methamphetamine charge. But this isn't her first run-in with the system. There's a history here, unpaid fines, prior offenses, and a pattern that's becoming impossible to ignore. Now here's where things take a turn. The prosecution is willing to drop a felony, something that could have meant up to 10 years in prison, and instead offer a misdemeanor. That sounds like a break, right? But as you'll see, sometimes a lighter charge doesn't mean an easier outcome. Because the judge in this case isn't just looking at the law, he's looking at the bigger picture. Addiction, mental health, responsibility, and even something as unexpected as 10 pit bulls. Yes, you heard that right. And as this unfolds, you'll notice something rare. A judge who openly admits he doesn't know what the right decision is. So here's a question for you right from the start. When someone keeps making the same mistakes again and again, do you punish them harder, or do you try something different? Let's get into it.
All right, so we finished all of our cases but one. We just went right from arraignments into pre-exam conferences. I believe we've taken care of everybody that's in custody, out of custody, and we had one defendant that got here a little after Ms. Strong had started talking to everybody else. Also, we had a pretrial, Mr. Stephen Higgins, who was sitting in here. He came in like he thought he was supposed to. Hopefully they could get somebody to see him.
Right away, you can see this case is already unusual. The prosecution is stepping back from a felony charge and agreeing to a misdemeanor for use of methamphetamine. Now legally, that's a massive difference. A felony could have meant years behind bars, long-term consequences, and a permanent mark on a record. A misdemeanor, on the other hand, carries up to a year in jail and fines, but it's still serious, just not life-altering in the same way. But here's what stands out. This decision isn't just about evidence. It's about circumstances. Emotional distress, a hospital visit, and clearly some instability in her life. And then comes the no contest plea. That's important. She's not admitting guilt, but she's also not fighting it. She's basically saying, I won't argue, and allowing the court to move forward with a conviction. So let me ask you this. If you were in her position, would you take this deal or risk going to trial and possibly facing something much worse?
From the prosecutor's office, he was going to bring in proof of insurance and license and probably get his case resolved, hopefully. Anyway, the case that's left is People versus Jody Lynette Wood. That's you. The file here is 252390FY. You're here with your lawyer, Ms. Casey Strong. Also present is Joshua Robert, Chief Assistant from the Prosecutor's Office. And you're charged with possession of methamphetamine. The file number 2390. Let's look at this one. The complaint alleges that you possessed methamphetamine on August 3rd in Lockport Township.
This is where things start to shift from a standard drug case into something much more layered. The judge brings up her dogs, and at first it almost feels like a side conversation. But it's not. It actually becomes a key factor in what happens next. Think about it. 10 pit bulls, no stable income, and a defendant already struggling with substance use. That's not just a personal issue anymore. That's a public safety concern. And you can tell the judge is thinking ahead. If he sends her to jail, what happens to those dogs? Who takes responsibility? What kind of situation does that create? This is the kind of thing people don't usually think about when they watch courtroom cases. Decisions aren't made in isolation. One action can create a chain reaction of problems. So now the question becomes bigger than just guilt or innocence. It's about consequences beyond the courtroom.
That would be July 3rd. What does the complaint say? Complaint says August 3rd. The affidavit says July 3rd. Fairchild Road. With a couple of dogs. I've seen you walking your dogs out there. They're pit bulls, weren't they?
Yeah, they're pit bull, and then one's like probably this big. He drug me down the road a couple different times this summer. So I learned to walk them one at a time.
All right, they took you to the hospital. And they found some methamphetamine in your possession as the allegation. Prosecutors agreed to dismiss the felony charge. Is that correct, Mr. O'Bear, for at least a use of meth?
Yes, Your Honor. And it might be a no contest plea, which we have no objection to.
Yep,
All right.
we're asking for a no contest plea based on the fact that she was having an emotional issue and was later taken to the hospital following the incident.
Now we're getting the full picture, and it's not looking good for the defendant. Multiple prior cases, retail fraud, disorderly conduct, a previous meth charge, and most importantly, unpaid fines and ignored payment plans. This is exactly what judges look at when deciding sentencing. Not just what you did today, but what you've been doing over time. And here's the key issue. It's not just that she made mistakes, it's that nothing changed afterward. She served time before. She got out, and within weeks, she was back using again. That tells the court one thing. Whatever was done last time didn't work. So now the judge is stuck with a tough decision. Do you repeat the same punishment and hope for a different result? Or do you try something else entirely? What would you do in this situation?
All right. All right. So let's break this down. They're dismissing the felony charge, punishable by up to 10 years imprisonment, for a plea to a misdemeanor charge of use of methamphetamine. Use of methamphetamine is a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to a year in jail and a fine of up to $2,000. Do you understand the charge? All right. Now, by pleading no contest to this, you don't admit what happened, but you also don't deny what happened, and you would allow or accept that a conviction would enter. Do you understand?
Yes.
And you've signed this document giving up your rights to have a trial and all the rights that go with it. Do you understand you're giving up your right to have a trial by entering this plea?
Yes, sir.
This moment adds a layer that complicates everything. We're not just dealing with substance abuse anymore. We're hearing about anxiety attacks, hospital visits, and long-term mental health treatment. And this is where things get tricky in the legal system. Because the court has to decide, is this a criminal issue, a health issue, or both? The defense is clearly leaning toward mental health as a factor. And to be fair, mixing severe anxiety with drug use can create a cycle that's hard to break. But from the court's perspective, there's still accountability. Mental health might explain behavior, but it doesn't erase the consequences. So here's something to think about. Should mental health reduce punishment, or should it change the type of punishment entirely?
Anybody threaten you to get you to plead to this? Promise you anything?
No.
Now, by pleading no contest, you don't admit what happened, but you also don't deny what happened, and you would allow or accept that a conviction would enter. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So I'll use the police report or the affidavit of probable cause for a factual basis. Now, you were walking your dogs. Was this at about the time that George threw you out of the house?
Um, his parents, because it's his parents' house,
Yes,
they were,
yes.
but they did, I never came to court or anything, so I don't understand how they,
All right, but anyway, you were living in the house, then you weren't there anymore.
yeah, we split up for about 3 years. And I, was staying over on US 12, and, we got back together and just, there's
This is one of the most honest moments you'll see from a judge. I don't know what to do with you. That's not something you hear often in court. He's weighing jail time, not as punishment, but almost as a forced reset. 30 days just to dry out, as he puts it. But even that comes with problems. The dogs, her living situation, and the fact that short jail stints clearly haven't worked before. This is where the system shows its limits. Jail can punish. It can temporarily stop behavior, but it doesn't always fix the underlying issue. And the judge knows that. So now it's less about what the law allows and more about what might actually help.
we've had so many
Where do you live now?
right there.
On Freese Road? After all the effort to get you out of there, you're all back in the same house?
Well, he stays at his mom's and has basically all his stuff at his mom's. And I stay at the trailer by myself with 10 dogs. And
Let's keep it on track. Yeah,
No, I'm interested in this
yeah, but,
because if I put her in jail, she got 10 dogs.
yep.
She has a previous use of methamphetamine charge from 2024 and she hasn't paid the fine and costs. If I gave her a methamphetamine test today, it would be positive. She's got all these pit bulls in that trailer terrorizing the neighborhood. And I don't know what to do with her. All right, this was way back in July, Miss Wood. And this would have been, I guess, 6 o'clock at night. And they were concerned about you, so they came out. Did you have some sort of anxiety attack or something?
yeah,
And then they took you by ambulance to the hospital.
yes, and I had a couple other ones too also, and then when I was just in jail for this warrant, I had an anxiety attack when I was in there too.
All right, so
This part hits hard because it's simple but powerful. She's on multiple medications, likely for mental health, and at the same time, she's using methamphetamine. The judge spells it out clearly. That combination cancels everything out. So even if she's getting treatment, it's being undone by her own actions. This is where personal responsibility comes into focus. Because at some point, the system can offer help, doctors can prescribe medication, but the individual still has to make the choice to follow through. And that's what the judge is really questioning here. Is she unable to stop or unwilling?
that much we can get with your memory, but they did a search of your backpack and they found a baggie with some small amount of methamphetamine residue in it. Okay, now I gotta figure out what to do. You have the 2024 use of methamphetamine that you haven't paid the fine, $330. You've also got a retail fraud ordinance case, 25296. Let's look at that one. That's a civil infraction ticket. where they allege that in February of last year, you did a retail fraud at Walmart. You didn't answer it, and they entered a default on the civil infraction, and you owe $250, and then it goes up.
Instead of making an immediate decision, the judge delays. And that's interesting. He could have sent her to jail right then and there. In fact, he even says he considered it. But instead, he gave her time, a future court date, and a clear warning there will likely be jail involved. This is almost like a final chance. He's setting expectations. Get things in order. Be ready, because next time, there won't be as much hesitation. And he also plans a drug test, which means the next appearance will reveal whether anything has changed at all. So now the pressure is on. Do you think she'll show up clean, or will this just continue the same cycle?
He had a disorderly conduct under ordinance in 24, that earlier meth case. He had a retail fraud second, which was also Walmart. All right, in that earlier meth case, you got arrested. They were looking for somebody else, and they arrested you because you had we got rid of the disorderly person, and then I didn't do a PR bond. Let's see what finally happened. Plea to use of meth. Dismissed disorderly person. I did a judgment. Ordered 21 days, credit 12, leaving 9 days to serve, and a fine with a payment plan with your other unpaid cases. So you got out of jail and never paid anything on the payment plan. So that was in the date of the conviction was May 13th. So you got out of jail, and shortly thereafter in July, you're still using methamphetamine. And I suspect you're still using it today. I don't know what to do with you. Do you have any source of income?
I've got a lawyer for SSI, and they're taking it to for an appeal, and I'm waiting to hear back from them. I mean, I've been going to community mental health for 14 years, and this stuff, you know the Wood family, so stuff that's been going on with me and him is just, I mean, it's, that's really worked on me hard.
I'd put you in jail right now for about 30 days just to dry you out. I don't know how you would afford the dogs, and I don't know how you afford to continue to buy methamphetamine. And you're just killing yourself. But if I did that, I'd have these 10 pit bulls locked in that trailer by themselves. What are they doing for you at Pivotal? Are you on any medications?
I'm on like 7 or 8 different medicines.
And you take them as prescribed?
Yeah.
Well, mixing methamphetamine with them isn't a good plan. Right, just nullifies everything that they're supposed to do. We sent you several notices about the payment plan. You did call in August and ask about it, but then we never heard from you again. $1,000,000 days in jail is probably too long. Let's find a place to put this. I don't really, a pre-sentence might help, but I don't know what they're gonna tell me that I can't figure out myself. Casey, we just scheduled you for April 1st, didn't we?
Yes, sir. We're at 10:30.
I'm gonna give you a drug test when I see you next. The problem is you can't just stop using methamphetamine. It's like telling you to stop holding your breath. I don't know what Pivotal is doing. They're treating your mental health issues, but not your substance abuse issues. The last time I just gave you 21 days in jail, enough time to clean out. And within a month or so, you were using again, probably the next day. All right, you need to make provisions for the dogs. I'm gonna see you on April 1st. I'm gonna give you a drug test. And you haven't paid any money on any of your payment plans since
Okay.
August.
I'm getting my taxes back and I
All right, well,
I'll
that
put
would
my
help
taxes
your
towards some of
cause of action.
haven't filed in a couple of years, so.
The day I saw you, neither of the dogs were on a leash. They were running ahead of you.
Oh, when George was, yeah.
All right, well, it's not a dog complaint. It's a meth complaint. You just had one and I did a short jail sentence. And I didn't accomplish a thing other than keep you clean for 20 days. I frankly don't know what to do, so I'll hear from the enlightened prosecutor and your lawyer. But Ms. Wood, it's likely there's going to be a jail component to this. As I said, I would have done it right now, but I don't want animal control to have to go out there and deal with 10 pit bulls in a trailer. So we'll go to April 1st when your lawyer's already set to be here, and we'll address it at that time.
Thank
All
you.
right, you're free to go. Ms. Strong, are you done? Could you stop and see me before you go? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. O'Bear.
Judge, if you're gonna hold our contempt, we can just do it if we're on the record.
That sounds like a break. Can you take my phone?
We only get a couple more chances to do this, Josh, so I'll cherish our every Tuesday.
Me too.
All right, let's stop the live stream.
This case is a perfect example of how
Stuff,
complicated the
you know,
justice
the word
system
family,
can
so
be when
Stuff
addiction
that's been
and
going
mental
on
health
with me
are
and him
involved.
is just, I mean,
On
it's
paper, it started as a
that's
simple
really
possession case, but as we
worked on me
saw,
hard.
it quickly turned into something much bigger: repeated offenses, unpaid fines, unstable living conditions, and a clear struggle with substance use. The judge had to balance accountability with reality, punishment with practicality, and
I'd
even
put you in
consider
jail right
factors
now
like
for
what
about
happens
30 days
outside the
just to
courtroom,
dry you
including
out.
those 10 dogs. In the end,
I don't
no
know
final
how you
sentence was given yet,
afford
but
the
one thing is
dogs,
clear.
and I don't
The
know
next
how you
court date
afford
will
to
be
continue to
critical.
buy
That drug
methamphetamine.
test, her actions between now and then, and whether she shows any
And
change at all could
you're
decide
just killing
everything.
yourself.
Cases
But
like
if I
this
did that,
raise an
I'd have
important
these 10
question.
pit bulls
Is the
locked in
system
that
designed to
trailer
punish, to
by
rehabilitate,
themselves.
or is it trying to do both at the same time? If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.